Hello, Professor. Hello, everyone. My name is Hassan. Today, I'm going to do my presentation about the impact of self-awareness and self-management on organizational commitment to change, a study based on aviation industry in Sri Lanka. And it will be in terms of reinforcing new behavior and organizational climate, which is assigned to me as a topic. Now my agenda will start, the presentation will start with the introduction, literature review, methodology findings, discussions, recommendations, and conclusion. Introduction part. The organizations are operating in a turbulent environment, and it's essential for them to change the existing practices and policies. So the aviation sector in Sri Lanka needs to acclimatize to survive in their changing environment. So the aviation industry, aviation sector needs inevitable changes in the existing practices and policies, and examining the boundary conditions of expected relationship between the customers and the employees, the frontline workers. Also examining the effects of environmental dynamism to figure out what's going on, what is needed, what needs to be done. So this research is based on a post-positivism research philosophy, and the approach is deductive. The data are collected using a self-administered questionnaire from 330 frontline employees in the aviation industry in Sri Lanka. PLS-SEM model was adopted to analyze the data, which we will be talking about later. So the results basically show that the self-awareness and the self-management are positive and significant influences on organizational commitment to change, and environmental dynamism moderate these relationships. So the key implications can be defined as changing the mindset of staff by inspiring their self-awareness, and staff coping with the organization to change, enhancing the commitment for better service and quality. When we look at the literature review, we see some examples, and all of them are consistent with the data in our article. So when we look at the Hochschild's the theory of emotional labor, which is 1983, based on academic research. So the emotional labor describes us about the emotions of the workers and the importance of the emotions of the workers, emotional labor, and it has become an important segment of most service sector organizations. So handling emotions has become a vital part of every organization, especially if you want to reinforce change, if you want to get better results, you should be considering the emotions of the labor. When we look at the study of Wong and Lau, which is done in 2002, the emotional intelligence concept, has been revealed to implement diverse organizational activities and personal life situations. People with high emotional intelligence, self-awareness, and self-management level may use it to manage their emotions to develop or improve better social relationship. So when we look at the Connor, mentioned about top management attitude. So it's basically saying that top management's attitude towards change, while reinforcing change to organization, is highly important and highly effective on frontline workers or other workers' attitudes. And Some other examples are also given in the article, which are consistent with the data, with the findings of the study. But actually what this study is suggesting is consistent with the literature. The methodology of the study, as I mentioned in the beginning, a post-positivism philosophy using structured methods to facilitate study is applied in this one. So the target population is the frontline employees. 2,300 frontline workers in aviation sector of Sri Lanka is the population in Sri Lanka. The unit of analysis has been these frontline staff of aviation industry in Sri Lanka. Stratified random sampling for selecting employees dealing with customers directly is chosen. The cabin crew, ground crew, airport service agents, employees at foreign bureau are the staff that we are talking about in the study. A survey method and a structured questionnaire, which is self-administered and open-ended, has been applied. And we can also see PLS-based structural equation modeling, SEM, done by Lehrman and Breitner in 2017. Also, this PLC-SEM is used to analyze the collected data by their smart tool, smart PLS-SEM tool, to analyze data, and it focuses on the variance within the dependent variables when examining the model. And this also uses proxies of interest weighted as composites of indicator variables for a specific construct. So when we come to findings, the pilot study results, and the dependent on here is the Cronbach's alpha statement, which is 0.7, and we are hoping to see the results over 0.7. So the self-awareness was 0.919, self-management was 0.921, commitment to change was 0.943, environmental dynamism is 0.874, and as we can see, all above 0.7. So we can see the significant relationship between self-regulation and organizational commitment to change in this study, and also the significant impact of self-management on the organizational commitment to change. And self-awareness and organizational commitment to change have a moderating effect with the environmental dynamism, and self-management and organizational commitment to change affect environmental dynamism positively. We can tell these as our findings. In this study, which is, I think, highly important about these findings, first of all, they created a confidence test before applying the real one to real audience. So the findings of the confidence test also is highly confident in results. So we can rely on this study, we can rely on their questionnaire, we can rely on their survey. So that's a good indicator for us while looking for the study. And when we come to discussions part, the impact of emotional intelligence and organizational commitment to change on environmental dynamism for Sri Lanka's aviation industry is the main idea of this, the aim of this research. So The previous literature found that the relationship between self-awareness and organizational commitment to change has a positive relationship. A study conducted using teachers as emotional labor in Malaysia shows a strong and significant relationship between self-awareness and organizational commitment. And also a study based on self-awareness and commitment for three industrial subsectors in rivers has explored a highly positive sign and meaningful relationship between self-awareness and commitment. So the recommendations, the aviation sector aims at their passenger satisfaction, safety, service, and customer retention for the benefit of an airline. So at the same time, employees should ensure quality service and customer satisfaction in keeping any reaction of their passengers, whether their behavior will be disruptive or not, since customer perception of an airline service quality shapes competitive strategy in commercial aviation system industry, actually. So changing practices such as learning to approach people may more positively instead of avoiding them. Listening better or giving feedback will be more complex than implementing new practices to old habits. Self-awareness and self-management learning include the ways of thinking and acting unique to that person's identity. Also, an environmental dynamism organization should implement training programs to develop positive emotions during the change to obtain an employee commitment during change. There should be a flow that describes the optimal process for helping individuals to increase their emotional competence in personal and interpersonal contexts. There are 4 steps to training process: the preparation stage, training process, transfer and maintenance, and evaluation process. And also providing information on the emotional intelligence for commitment is important. And emotions of employees being important for the service quality should be considered. And balance of emotion being an important strategy for change environment is another thing that should be considered. So when we come to conclusion, the study wants to find out the relationship between self-awareness and self-management, organizational commitment to change. The effect of environmental dynamism among the aviation staff in Sri Lanka is highly effective on this relationship. Self-awareness and self-management contributing for employees adopting environmental changes, solving problems, and situational awareness is important. The positive and significant influence of self-awareness and self-regulation on our organizational commitment to change is seen and stated in this study. These are my references, and thank you for listening.